Oh yeah!
Fish Stripes Live. Fish Stripes Live. There we go. We have a couple. We have some of the guys here today. We have Eli, we have Grant, we have Adam, and we have our special guest. Pretty much a guy we've had for like 3 or 4 times already this season. John Rodriguez. No Isaac, no Daniel. They're at the game. Noah's also at the game. So John, thank you for coming on. But let's get right into it. Series versus the Braves, 4-game set. So I think we could acknowledge as well. Saturday was the first doubleheader ever played in Lone Depot when it comes to 18-inning doubleheader. So they got swept. John, what were your thoughts on the series, depending how much you watched, looking back to your final tweets?
Yeah, definitely not what the Marlins wanted. There's been games where, they came close and, they could have won, the whole Tanner Scott game. And at the end, he had literally 3 outs to go and just couldn't lock the win. And unfortunately, that's where the Marlins are at. They're in a tough spot, and they've been in a tough spot for quite a while. And at this point, it's just been hard to find wins. And the only times that they score, the Braves just come right back and eat it up from them. So definitely a tough time to be a Marlins fan, and a tough time to be in the clubhouse with that team as of right now. But overall, a sweep is never good.
Now, the thing to point out that just made this offensive struggles incredible, we know this is a bad offense, but in this series, no Max Fried, he's out with a concussion, no Spencer Strider or Charlie Morton. Both of them were pushed back for some reason beyond the series, even though they were originally scheduled to pitch in the series. I even picked Charlie Morton as my series MVP, thinking that he would pitch at series finale. He didn't. And who was the other guy that Kyle? What's that guy's name?
Right.
Kyle Wright. Kyle Wright is having his breakout year. He didn't pitch in the series. The starting pitchers that the Marlins faced against the Braves were just the absolute bottom of the barrel. Like, they faced guys who, 2 of them in Kyle Muller and that last game, Bryce Elder, guys that aren't even big leaguers that just came up for these one outings. And both of them like twirled quality starts against them. So to see them perform so bad against really mediocre starting pitching, just as bad as they had against everybody else, that really set off the alarms for me. Like, that was yikes. That was worse than I think could have been reasonably expected by anybody. You saw those predictions. We only had one person correctly nail the fact that they were going to get swept. I think most of us thought, God, you're at home.
I doubled back. I got some faith. I originally went sweep, but yeah. I got some faith.
So that's what stood out to me, is the fact that they had these really advantageous matchups. And in the first game, if you look back on it, they put a ton of base runners on. Like, that was not a bad offensive game. They just struggled to get the key hit. They went like 1 for 14 with runners in scoring position. But there's no excuse for the other 3 games, and how on Saturday and on Sunday, just barely doing anything. And ultimately makes the difference in what was at least one winnable game on Sunday, as people were really fired up about, is how they let that one slip away.
Yeah, and even before, I think Kyle Muller, you were talking about, he had a 27-something ERA entering the game. And I know he must have pitched very little, a very small sample size, but still, I mean, for that, you should have basically been able to hit off of someone like that. They scored less than 3 runs in each game. They didn't even get to 3 runs. And I think there was a game where they had like 11 hits, and I think it was that Friday game where they had it. But I want to talk a little bit about that final game, and I'll go here to Grant. Tanner Scott, first pitch, there's a homer. That's it. Game over. Blown save. Atlanta gets the offense going at the end. What are your thoughts on Tanner Scott at the moment as the closer? And do you think they could have gone maybe to an Andrew Nardi or anyone else who was available at that moment.
Yeah, I had some thoughts on this for sure in the space we did on last night.
Yes.
Geez, I don't know what they were thinking. Personally, me, I think that these are the final days of, not like literal days, but you guys know what I mean. This is the last dance for Don Mattingly as manager of the Miami Marlins. Maybe he'll get another role in this organization, but I think this is it for him as manager. So at this point, like, why are you really sticking to something that hasn't worked? I feel like if this is it for you, you should be looking to, maybe make a statement. You just brought up this guy. And I do get that he got there 2 hours before first pitch, but look, he's a very hyped up prospect. We think that he could be a very big future piece in the bullpen. Why not let Tanner Scott get that day off, take off a little bit of pressure for him in case we need to use him against San Diego or Los Angeles, Oakland, whoever. And, get Nardi in there, see what he's got, let him potentially savor the moment in a very big moment like that.
Yeah, and Adam, any thoughts you have on the series at all you want to mention? I think this is also now like 14 or 15 straight games where the Marlins have failed to score 3 runs or more. So I guess they made history just on the wrong side. And I think the last thing to do was the 1970-something Cubs. So
79.
79. Yeah, they're on the very, very wrong side of history right now. But Adam, just any last thoughts on the series with the Braves?
Yeah, and I know, just like I'm with Grant, I think I think Don Mattingly's days are likely numbered, and my background is more allegorical of the Marlins are hitting a brick wall, in that I think it's time to really tear things down, and you guys know that. It's just like an indictment of the struggles that, like, if we continue to just kind of go with what we've been doing, there's not a whole lot we can go with, and we can have successful going forward. It's just, we've seen the pitching was somewhat decent, the run support wasn't there at all, but the run prevention was what was carrying the squad all series, but even then it wasn't enough at all to really get anything done. So it's just really, it comes down to a lack of offense and there really isn't a lot of support or reinforcement coming in the minor leagues through the farm system. And that just leaves a lot of cause for concern, and it's very scary because it leaves the team in a state of flux when you have the pitching that is so developed and is flourishing, but the hitting is severely depleted. So
this is my eye on the tank race, the worst records in the big leagues. We haven't had to look at this for most of the year because we were looking at the wild card race until up a few weeks ago. But now the only team not in here is the Nationals. Everybody knows they're at the bottom. No matter what the Marlins do, they're not going to catch the Nats for the worst record in baseball. But I think by any standard, people have to be disappointed that they've fallen this far, that they're now like within striking distance of the Cubs and the Royals and even the Reds. The Reds, remember how hopeless the Reds looked earlier this year? They've continued to be bad, and yet the Marlins recently, they're catching up in the wrong way, but in terms of how much
they lost the season series to a Reds team that started the season 3 in 22.
Yeah, they lost to them. They barely eked out the season series to the Pirates. Like, this is a team that it's been a theme all year that they destroy the Nationals, and then everybody else clearly outplays them or plays up to their standards. Like, that's really one team in the entire majors that you're sure that they are superior then, and that's the Nationals. Everybody else gives them tough competition, or some teams just really blow them out. So we'll see exactly where the Padres stand on that spectrum and how competitive these games are. But this is something to look at. We'll see exactly where this year ends up. That's one theme. I know people are really aggravated here in the chat and yesterday on Twitter and on our website. People are asking the big picture questions, like, what is Bruce Sherman doing? Should Kim Ng get fired? They're having their existential crisis about what they did this rebuild for. I just want to reinforce that they still play 47 games. And even if they're not competing for a playoff spot, the tone could change a lot. And the way that we see players can change so much over that span of time that we don't really have answers to exactly what they should do in the offseason yet, because it's still so far away from the offseason. But what would be a shock to me entering the year and would still be surprising to me now is if they completely free fall and end up where they were last year, with 95 losses. I remain pretty stunned that that's even within the realm of possibility, given the talent that they have, given the depth that was supposed to be improved from last year. Like, there's a reason why people are angry, is because at the very least, this year was not supposed to be a step forward. Most rational people didn't see this as a playoff year, but they thought at the very least that they're going to be significantly better than last year. One thing I talked about on the pod this morning, the official show, is that basically the whole difference between last year and this year is Sandy going from a great pitcher to being like the best pitcher, and that has won them a couple extra games. You look at the big picture, and it's hard to point to anything else that has meaningfully changed from 2021 to 2022.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned this, these standings that we're seeing here because of the MLB draft lottery, which is being implemented now in 2023. So Miami, I assume, would be somewhat part of it. So if anyone, I guess we could go to Grant here. What are your thoughts
So
on
the
draft
format,
lottery?
yeah. So the format, I believe, I didn't know this until a few weeks ago. I thought it was literally everyone. That's the way it's set up on Tankathon. Trust me, I've been running simulations on there, just hoping that maybe we could get the first pick. So it's the top 6 teams. I don't know if it's equal percentages or not, but I know if you're one of the worst 6 teams in baseball, you get thrown into a lottery and you dig it out for the first 6 picks.
Yep. So I guess we could go to injury reports, Eli.
I'll pull that up in a second.
Because I believe there was no roster moves made today. So Nance, the last ones that were made was Nance down to AAA. Ladwig was DFA'd.
Yeah, the things to mention over the weekend is, the new guys that we will likely see during this series. I haven't seen yet the call-ups of Andrew Nardi and Parker Bug. No offense to Parker Bug. Andrew Nardi is the one more top of mind. He's the more exciting prospect. We've mentioned him on streams several times, both me and more so Alex Carver as wanting to see him up. And I think I mentioned this on our game thread on the site.
Sandwich with the medium.
What is that?
Sorry,
How's that?
Yeah, no, I had this ESPN tab open and it played an ad. It does that. I'm sorry.
So if it's a close game, if Sandy does his usual thing tonight, then we might not see either of them pitch because Sandy could just go the distance. But if it's a close game, I wouldn't be surprised if Andrew Nardi is already pitching important high leverage innings for this team, given their other alternatives. If it's a blowout in one direction or the other, then maybe we see Parker Bug because his stay in the major leagues could be pretty short, and they might just want to have him in a mop-up situation if it presents itself. But those guys, they were put on the roster before yesterday's game. As Kevin said, no new moves entering today's game.
Which is surprising, and as always, Isaac, who's at the game with Daniel. Jazz rehabbing, no baseball activities. Garcia throwing program. Holloway, 6 weeks of no throw. He did go through a surgery. Poteet will be having Tommy John on Wednesday. Rogers is going to be going to AAA. Sixto Sanchez set for a sim game on Wednesday and Saturday. And I guess the biggest news, Cole Sulser is with the Marlins. He's in Miami. So we'll probably be seeing some type of roster move tomorrow or Wednesday when it comes. But yeah, John, anything that stands out to you here through this injury report?
Definitely Sixto, first of all. The fact that he's actually going to be pitching a sim game, so there's I guess he skipped 2 steps finally. Other than that, Cole Sulser definitely, they're getting an arm back. I don't know where they're going to slide him because of the whole Tanner Scott ordeal. So I don't know if they're going to trust him back on that spot, or they're going to try to put him more as a setup role returning. Unfortunately, Poteet for Tommy John. Another one that hurts and stings as of right now to me is Bender. Big Bender fan. He went down again. He came back and he was actually doing pretty good. But other than that, very unfortunate. And the sad part is that injuries has been one of the biggest issues for this team in the later stages of the season, especially around deadline, which inevitably, made us go into kind of the cellar mode that we are currently in. But yeah, definitely injuries. It sucks.
Yeah, to give Gabriel the update on Rogers, he had his second rehab start last night, and he got hit pretty hard, even though he made it through 76 pitches and 4 2/3 innings. He gave up 7 hits and a home run and 5 earned runs. So his next step, it was mentioned in another tweet, they are moving his rehab to AAA Jacksonville and going from there. So he's going to make at least one more rehab start. In my opinion, I don't think he's coming back anytime soon. That they're going to option him to AAA once he gets done with the rehab. But he's still healthy, but not doesn't seem to have learned any lessons that were giving him issues with the Marlins most of this year. So still a little while away with Trevor Rogers rejoining the rotation potentially.
Oh, look at that. Walker Buehler's out for the season. Look at that.
Yeah, a team that was interested in Pablo, but didn't pull the trigger, didn't meet the team's asking price, and ended up not adding to their rotation at the deadline. All of a sudden, one of their secret weapons.
Like this was a common theme between the Padres. I mean, not the Padres. I was looking at my tab that said Padres, Dodgers and Yankees. Oh boy.
Yeah, and I think Bender, it wasn't mentioned here, but Bender is pending an MRI result. I think is what Christina Di Nicola put, or was Daniel, one of the two put that. But yes, that is the update for Bender. If anyone was asking, I want to get into some of these younger guys. I mean, let's talk a little bit Blade, Burdick, Lewin. Some of these guys have been struggling. I mean, Blade got off to a pretty good start. He get the homer in Cincinnati, yeah. But he was good in Pittsburgh, taking some real nice at bats, getting some walks. Grant, what do you think has been the issue with Blade as of late? Although he had a pretty good game yesterday, I think he hit a double.
It's just adjusting. I feel like pretty much everyone besides like generational guys really go through this. I don't think it's anything to be worried about. You know, as Eli said earlier, we still have 47 games in this. He'll see some good pitchers. So I think, you know, just be patient over the rest of August, September, and the first week of October, and just see what he has. There's no need to be judging him off what he did a week in a hitter's ballpark, what he did a week in Marlins Park. It's just, I don't think that's fair to any of these young guys, really.
Yep. And I want to go to John here. Peyton Burdick played his first home series as a Marlin. That we had the chance to interview him. That was on the last live stream. But what were your thoughts, not only on Peyton Burdick in Miami, but just throughout his whole stretch so far? It's been a lot of ups and downs. He had a horrible first time. You know, I think he struck out 3 times, if I'm correct, or lined out once.
He struck out twice and he walked. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, a lot of strikeouts definitely, and you know he did walk a couple times, no hits. He's only got 6 hits so far since he got called up. Honestly, you want a little more from him, but as Grant said, it's all about adjusting. It's the major leagues; they gotta make those adjustments. They gotta fix those little mistakes, and they gotta work on top of that and get themselves established in their positions and roles. You know, coming up a little later into the season. So same thing for Blade. Blade has shown a little bit more for me. But yeah, same goes for both really at the end of the day.
Yeah, and finally with Adam, we'll talk a little bit about Lewin here. He's just been struggling, man. The glove is looking great, Gold Glove caliber. He had a good hit the other day. That's about it. He hasn't done much more. Just what is the issue with Lewin, and is this guy really the future first base for the Miami Marlins, or should they be looking somewhere else? Because, and although I know Aguilar probably won't be back as a Marlin next season with a $10 million club option, he's been playing pretty well. He had a pretty good series. He had 2 homers. He was getting it going. And Coop hasn't been playing too much, but he had an all-star season.
Yeah, so for me, it's I guess to kind of just address in general with Lewin Diaz, we got to remember his acquisition is very similar to the Jordan Groshans deal that was conducted this deadline, because it was Sergio Romo who was dealt for like not a fringe prospect, but like, you know, Lewin Diaz, you know, is a first base, you know, like he's going to be staying there, and the bat and the contact is really what's going to be his leverage piece as a prospect. But in general, he should be getting the reps. It should be him, because if it's not him, then who else is going to be receiving them? Given the fact that I have also mentioned that they should be dealing some of the guys that have 4, 5, and 5.5 years of service time in order to try to get as much liquidated prospects as possible. But just for me, he's just like, he's not really the answer, although he is really just like the plug and like the bridge first baseman. He's going to be that glove guy, and he's got a lot of raw power. He's a plus raw guy from what I remember reading, but just he's got to be able to tap into it with his contact, and it's like he's got the discipline, but it's just too many holes within the zone when he is swinging. It's sort of like he's got the discipline, yeah, but like it's just been tough to watch. He's just not, and it's a testament to the fact that, like, you know, ideally you would want to have someone better at first base, but there is no depth, or there is depth, but there is no like top tier end hitting prospects, which ideally would be playing first instead of Lewin Diaz, who should be like really a platoon guy on a roster.
Right. And it's with Lewin. So it just speaks to just the latest shred of evidence that you don't want to look at AAA stats on their own and come to any conclusions. He was great at AAA last year offensively. He was great at AAA this year offensively. And it's not as simple as that. The quality of pitching is so much different at AAA versus in the majors, and you can't anticipate what's happening. So with him, I always struggled to get a feel on exactly what he'd be in the majors. He hits so many, when he's right, he hits a ton of majestic high fly balls, not really line drives, like high fly balls. And I was wondering how many of those would actually have enough juice to get over the wall in the majors versus how many would just be routine, easy outs. And what we're seeing this year is even kind of worse than I feared. He's not even hitting the ball hard all that often. Like his hard hit rate is like 29%. League average is closer to 40% with him. And the overall numbers, you guys probably know it, but I mean, a 403 OPS entering tonight it's a small sample, 70 plate appearances, but it's not like it's not nothing. Good hitters usually don't struggle to this extent during that portion of the year. His glove, as Kevin said, has been magnificent as it was even last year from what we're able to see. But they put themselves in this situation where you're just not going to have, even if he totally goes off this last month and a half of the year, I don't think you're going to be able to feel totally confident in him as an everyday middle of the order bat, just based on how much time has not been used to test him in the major leagues. I think they waited too long to figure this out. They also used up his final option year. I mean, we're in a situation where he needs to be good the rest of the season in order to be sure to stick on the roster. Otherwise, he's in a really awkward spot next year where you're looking at somebody that was briefly considered one of their best prospects as potentially becoming a guy that doesn't even have like a role on the team and might not have very much trade value just because of some of the limitations he has.
It is press box report time. Daniel, take it away.
All right. Hello. Can you guys hear me? Am I all good?
You're
Yes.
good. You're good. You don't have the break background.
I didn't get the memo. I didn't get the memo from the background. I didn't get the memo, but yeah, let me flip this to you because they're still having BP right now. Jorge Alfaro is just dominating BP. Padres look good. It's literally everyone here is here for the Padres. Look at all this. Let me show you here. Let me give you the Manny Machado exclusive. It's a lot of people here. You can see here, all these people here. There's Manny Machado signing autographs. It's a lot of people here. It's crazy. I believe the Marlins barely took BP. If anything, just a couple players. A lot of the players from Padres are taking BP. They're still taking it right now. It's about 40 minutes left to the ball game. But it's crazy. A lot of people here coming to see Manny, see Juan Soto, and even Jorge Alfaro has a bit of a following also with the fans here. But it's crazy. It's an all-star team basically from the Padres, and really everyone here looks good. Soto was just mashing home runs. It was insane. Noah,
Do you see Noah?
Get Noah.
Noah, I see Noah. I see the Israel hat from here.
Go get him. Go put him on stream right now. You have to go get him on stream.
Yeah, we were told that Noah, I believe he's in Sandy's Beach. Is that right? He's
in
section
the beach.
22.
He is in Sandy's Beach. Here, let's
You
get
guys are seeing an exclusive right now of Daniel.
Look, here's Will Meyer. Here's BP.
They let you guys on the tarp for BP there?
Yeah.
They didn't let me. They would let me
it is
touch
just so
the
many
tarp.
people here. It is so many
Well,
people.
on your way.
It's just
Daniel's
crazy
on your way, Noah. Noah's on your way, Daniel. Wait, no. Fuck.
I'm just going to go see Noah.
Just forget about it, Kevin.
Yeah.
Hey, we needed a time filler. This is good.
I have to run over to see Noah because this is crazy. They're gonna pick me out any second now. But here's Noah. Let's get Noah on here really quick. Oh wait, actually, even better. Hold up. Right here, we have Noah.
Hey.
Talk to me, Noah. How are you feeling?
I feel like a caged animal when I'm here as a fan. I can't get onto the field. At least I got a taste sign here.
Did you get the shirt?
Put it up. Tell him to put it up.
Myself in my ears. What?
Did you get the shirt?
Yes, I did. It's sitting by the seat.
Awesome.
Oh, that's so cool.
Noah, what's your prediction?
My prediction is the Marlins take 2, surprisingly, and Sandy's going to be the MVP.
All right, you heard it here first. I'm going to go before I get kicked out. Here's Noah. See, this is only the press box report you get. This is the best one right here. This is the best press box report you're gonna get. All right. Oh, look, a ball. Here's a ball. I'm gonna go throw it back before.
Pocket it. Come on, Zach Campbell.
Nah.
Oh, by the way, he's there. I don't know if you found him yet, Danny.
Look at all the people. Can you see? Can you guys see all the people here? This is insane. Look at
They're
this.
all here for Zach Campbell, Daniel.
Look, there's whole
Danny, go find Zach Campbell. He is probably out in that right field corner.
Go interview Zach Campbell.
Do it. You and I will be the only ones who have interviewed Zach Campbell.
If you're not, we'll give you a ball.
Where is he? Do you guys know what he's wearing?
He always wears like a white shirt.
Skinny. He'll wear like a very plain shirt, and then he'll wear the hat of the team that's hitting. So he's probably wearing a Padres hat right now.
It's very strategic.
Yeah, he has a camera guy too. So if you could see a camera guy in the outfield, he'll be taking Fenway Chris. He's that
the
guy.
real hero. All right,
Try sending a flare. Maybe he'll see it.
I'm gonna try to.
Well, he knows that he got interviewed by Fish Stripes last month. He told me to tell you guys that he was coming.
Here's BP. All right, I'm gonna go back. I think you're gonna put me in timeout. And
All right.
I'll be right back.
All right.
Yeah, no, I think that's enough. I have his predictions.
We didn't even get a prediction. Wait, no, he's got a video.
That was interesting. That was unique. We have his whole predictions video that I'll play later. He did a good one. Credit to Daniel. He did a good job recording the predictions video with himself and Isaac and several guest prognosticators. So we'll play that later in the show. That was nice to have him check in. As we had hoped, it wasn't that long ago that people were anticipating potentially Tatis to make it back from the IL and perhaps make his season debut during the series. And unfortunately, there have been some change in circumstances to that. So it won't happen, but still a pretty good team. And we'll get into that in a little bit about Padres still being very dangerous and why they're favored. I think they're favored to win tonight, even on the road with Sandy pitching. So that speaks to where these two teams are right now.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Fernando Tatis suspended for 80 games. That includes the World Baseball Classic 4 PEDs. So I don't think we've really spoken about that, and I am frozen once again. But I'll still talk. So I'm going to start with Grant. What are your thoughts on the Fernando Tatis suspension, and how does this affect the Padres? And what have been your just initial reactions to seeing Mike Clevenger and even AJ Preller taking some shots at Fernando Tatis? So I guess that's the big talk of the series, especially, which maybe would have been back to Miami.
Yeah, so we've seen some clips and have heard some stuff about, Tatis getting into it with some of the older guys on the team. And I think that video with Manny Machado in the dugout comes to mind. He may be this big star, but, those stars, aren't always the best in the locker room. I mean, I think some of these tweets, these reactions really show what this team may actually, or at least part of this team actually thinks about Fernando Tatis Jr., kind of like the divide that there was in the Marlins clubhouse at the team meeting time of the year. But obviously this is way more serious. Steroids are a lot more serious than pimping home runs, in my opinion. But I think this definitely affects them coming down the stretch. They just got Juan Soto. Everyone talked about how much of a star duo this would be, how great they're going to be for playoffs. They're loading back up. All of a sudden, they lose their $300+ million man. And I don't think that there's any way that could really benefit them. Luckily, they have a really good depth. So I think they'll be fine. They've been cold since the trade deadline, but I think the MLB postseason is all about getting hot at the right time. I think they're set up pretty well with their schedule to get hot right around late September, early October. So I think they'll be fine. But for this series, I think that adds a little bit of an extra wrinkle, especially in like the Sandy game.
All right, so I think we could go into lineups if those are ready to be shown. But as you guys know, Marlins are playing the Padres, 3-game set. It is going to be Sandy, Pablo, and Edward. I want to see Sandy, Edward, and Pablo. Those are going to be your pitchers for the Padres. I know it's Joe Musgrove tonight. Not sure who it is tomorrow, but I know these are going to be some really good matchups when it comes to pitching. And here we are, Marlins lineup. There you have the Padres. One former Marlin, actually, and there's a Miami homegrown guy. You have Manny Machado, homegrown. You have Austin Nola, who was a former Marlin. Also a former Jeopardy question, if I'm correct. So let's just get right into it.
I have your pitching lineups, by the way, real quick.
Well, they're on the screen for people to see. It's scrolling across the bottom as well.
Oh, nice.
Where we have Sandy and Musgrove, and then Edward and Sean Manaea tomorrow. On Wednesday, Pablo and Mike Clevenger. In this lineup format, by popular request, Noah was doing it. He was bailing me out on the last show when I had technical issues. He grabbed it from Baseball Savant instead of using the MLB.com lineups. And a lot of people enjoyed this. As you can see, red is good and blue is bad for these players. And when it's just kind of grayed out, that means players haven't been used enough to qualify. And you can see pretty clearly that this is a mismatch offensively, to put it gently. But that should not surprise anybody.
Yeah, and I guess we'll go right into that. Look at how much red there is for the Padres, and we could even talk about some of their trade deadline acquisitions. Juan Soto, Josh Bell, who's playing first. Brandon Jury is the DH today. He was in Miami when he was dealt. So let's add him. Just out of all this all-star talent that the Padres have, what stands out to you the most?
Yeah, for me, I mean, you just got it just tells you how deep this team is, even without arguably, I would say now their second best player. I would take Soto over Tatis, just consistency wise with the bat in his hands. Just you've got so much in this lineup, and I think with Juan Soto, it's just going to anchor. And I think you've got the best, like arguably the best lineup 1 through 8 in baseball. Obviously, we knew that before. But I think really the addition of Josh Bell was the X factor of that trade, because you got a superlative hitting first baseman. He's not very valuable just because he's a rental for the rest of the year, and he is just, playing the corner infield position on first base. It's just like a very like good pickup that has a lot of value for the rest of the year and just plug and play. And it's something that I honestly wish, I feel like a lot of teams could have benefited, and it's something like, they could have also added on with the deal, and it would have just an extra package. But I just think in general, this deal really put this team over the top, and I think they're still going to be very dangerous, even without their second best player in Tatis Jr. So,
yeah. And I want to talk a little bit about that deal. Eli, just your thoughts on I don't know how much we've spoken about it on Fish Stripes Live, but Juan Soto, he was also dealt with Josh Bell. So do you think it was a fair trade? Did anyone get fleeced? Just your overall quick thoughts on the trade before we continue going through this lineup.
That's right. You don't know what's going on because you haven't been.
I haven't been here in a while, so you've probably spoken about this. Yeah.
Well, there is some news actually related to it today, in that the Nationals have called up C.J. Abrams, who was, in some of people's opinions, the centerpiece of that deal. That what made it so interesting is that you could foresee like several of the prospects that went to the Nationals eventually becoming star players. Abrams or Robert Hassel III or James Wood is where I would go to next. Maybe Mackenzie Gore. He looked great earlier this year and then kind of got hurt, but he has good pedigree as well. At least 3 of those guys, I think, can very realistically become above average regulars. This is, in some people's opinions, the biggest haul of young talents that have ever gone in a single trade, even surpassing the Mickey Cabrera trade. Of course, that it's not that high of a bar to clear in terms of actually having those guys prove to be impact major leaguers in the near-term future. So it was a good return, but it was, as you talk about in a lot of these deals, it's just a failure that they got into that situation in the first place. I mean, the best thing you can do when you have a Hall of Fame level player like Soto is keep him. And if you're ever in the situation where you feel like you need to trade him, that's a failure on its own. That's an L, and you can't really recover from that. But based on the circumstances, they got a lot in return, and they were kind of smart to package Josh Bell in there, who was a pending free agent anyway, to be sure that they got as much as they possibly could. It was, for what the Nationals are, it made a lot of sense. It's just they're in a terrible spot. As we mentioned up top, they're the one team that is kind of out of reach for the Marlins in the tank race. They are the worst team in baseball right now. And realistically, even if a lot of these young guys pan out, next year they're going to be terrible as well. It's in the short term, it's going to hurt a lot to watch that team play. And so anyway, the news today was that Abrams had been called up by the Nationals. He already has a bit of big league experience with the Padres, but now this is going to be his first time with the Nats. And the Marlins will probably see C.J. Abrams head to head when they play the Nats a couple more times later this year. Big trade. It definitely was a big trade. And one final thing on Soto, ever since that deal, he has been exactly as advertised. He is hitting, I have the numbers right here. He's hitting 350 with a 193 weighted runs created plus, nearly twice as good as the average hitter since the deal. So he's been amazing. Whereas Josh Bell has actually been slumping a lot since the deal, only hitting 154, 59 WRC plus. So Soto is the guy to fear here. Bell, at this moment, is still a little bit out of sorts. He's slumping, and he's somebody that, despite his good season overall, I think you can pitch to him pretty well in this series.
Yeah, and I think, Eli, you were big on you said CJ Abrams. I think for me, my biggest guy in this trade is James Wood.
Mhm.
I just like, he's the youngest guy out of everyone. And if you look at his like just his I guess profile, he comps very similarly to Aaron Judge. And like obviously to say, he's a 6'7", like big guy. But one thing I saw, if you guys were familiar with Eric Long and Higgins prospect reports on Fangraphs, I'm sure a lot of you guys are. He wrote in his article when he was evaluating the Padres prospects at the time that he has a Adam Dunn kind of defensive profile risk, which I read that, and once I looked into Adam Dunn and James Woods' careers up to age 19, like the past like age 19, it's actually like I'm very confused as to why he would mention that. Just because James Woods, like his PG numbers, obviously it's a little bit different. He's a plus runner and he has a plus arm, or maybe just a plus arm, but like it was rated as a 40, which he could be injured. But at the same age, Adam Dunn was very strictly a corner outfielder, but James Wood has not shown any regression from his center field spot because he's shown the exact reaction time. He's got great route running and tracking abilities in center field. And to see him moving, if he's ever going to move, it would be towards right field and not in left, which would not tank his defensive output at all. And to me, like, if you obviously he was in the Carolina League until he got moved, because that's where, or sorry, not the Carolina League, the California League, which is, I think, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, is a very hitter friendly single A league. But now that he's like, he was still putting up crazy output and discipline while he was there. You still got to be able to pick out balls and strikes, and he was doing that, and he's still doing it here. It's still been 30 PAs, but he's still doing it here in Fredericksburg.
Yeah.
He's been fantastic, and I think he might be the crown jewel of this trade someday.
Yeah, for anybody watching this, there's more than 15 people watching this. If you all like this, the YouTube video itself, when you scroll down a little bit, then this guy who I don't even remember when he created his account, Fish Stripes for Life 305. He's not actually part of, I don't think he's on the Fish Stripe staff. He's just a big admirer of our work. So we thank you for tuning in every time. We'd like to know what your real name is, but we need people watching to help us out. Anyway, that changes the subject. I didn't mean to do that.
No, you're good.
And they should become a super follow.
Super follow. Yeah, we'll plug that in a little bit when we do prediction time.
We'll plug that in just a little bit, but I want to look at the Marlins lineup. Kind of looks the same as usual, but if we could pull that up again before we start talking about our lovely ace, Sandy Alcantara. Looks kind of the same. A lot of blue, as Eli was mentioning. Blue bad, red good. I guess we could talk about Stallings. He's been a little bit better lately. Still all blue, but
I think we should talk first about who's not in there. The two players that are not in there are Charles LeBlanc.
You're
We're
right.
going to pronounce his name correctly. We're going to do the
LeBlanc.
soft C at the end, or the silent C, not LeBlanc, as we've been doing on months here. LeBlanc, something like that. We're going to try to get it right. So he's not in here for the second straight day, despite being awesome and actually reaching base in every game he has played since he got called up. All 13 of those games, and for some reason sitting the second day in a row. Garrett Cooper is sitting for a third game in a row. He came off the bench on Saturday night, but didn't start. He didn't start Sunday and didn't start Monday. And for him, it's just there's no right answer to that situation at first base and DH. That they put themselves in this situation by not moving Aggie at the deadline or not trading Cooper. It's weird to see. I guess, yeah. So I want to hear what you guys think about that on LeBlanc and Cooper. The fact that both of them, for seemingly different reasons, are not in the lineup, even though you could argue they're the two best hitters in this lineup.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, go ahead, John.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention for LeBlanc, this is a guy that I was personally pretty excited about in AAA. The dude was putting up very nice numbers. He was consistent. Because, it wasn't just a 1 month wonder type ordeal with him. He was actually being a contributor to the Jumbo Shrimp. And when he got his call, as you guys said, he was getting on base every single game. And to see him benched, it's just, I don't understand, why exactly that is. With the first base situation, another thing, they have to deal with it now. It's a thing that they had the chance to move Aguilar in the offseason and sell him high. Instead, they decided to keep him. And now Aguilar is putting up a pretty crappy year to say the least, and it's just not what what the doctor ordered for the Marlins, I guess, in that whatever they were trying to do with the three, Cooper, Aguilar, and Lewin. Lewin hasn't even done much in the majors either. But to not see LeBlanc start, I mean, where is he? Honestly, there's just no spot for him in the position. I mean, he has to be playing. He has to be. He's one of the producers of this club, so LeBlanc needs more playing time.
Has he played in every game since he got called up, Eli? Well, besides, the first one where he sat out, but has he played in every single game?
No, I believe he missed. Well, he didn't play yesterday, and there was one other game in between that he also sat. Like, he doesn't have to play every single day with Birdie and BA and Wendell back. I understand it's crowded, but why under any circumstances is sitting 2 days in a row? I think wasn't yesterday. I'll have to double check. That was against a lefty, wasn't it? Against Bryce Elder. I remember his name. I don't remember if he was a lefty because he was such a nondescript player. But I think that was he's a righty. He was a righty. So it's 2 days in a row against a righty. Maybe you understand it that way. Like, being realistically, nobody's confidently forecasting LeBlanc to be an everyday starter for this team moving forward. So if you're going to sit him, it makes more sense to do it against righties than lefties. But I don't understand multiple days in a row given the way that he's performing. Simply don't.
Yeah, and if anyone else has anything to say on the Marlins or Padres, I guess we could go right into prediction time.
No, it's 6:10. It is 6:10, Kevin. We don't have to take it all the way to 6:30, but we should take it close to 6:30.
It's been a while.
What is on my mind? Well, yeah. So we mentioned that, and I guess we could take one other look at these lineups and who they have. Somebody mentioned in the chat.
Oh, we could talk about Sandy.
We could talk about Sandy. Oh, that guy. Yeah,
that guy, El Caballo. Sandy Day today.
Yeah.
Noah showed us the case sign. It looks that may be the best one, I will say.
That looks really, really nice.
That one looks nice. The shirt looks cool, but is there any way we could check betting odds on the Cy Young at the moment, Eli? Or any
Sandy
is the leader, but
he's the clear Cy Young favorite at this point. What I went through on my pod is that it's just so difficult to find any real competition for Sandy in the Cy Young race this year. There's just no starting pitcher in the NL that's been healthy and has been dominant. And he, in the two, I guess you could say the two most important things to do to provide value to your team is pitch innings and to not allow runs. And Sandy leads the National League in innings pitched by a lot. And he leads the National League in both ERA and adjusted ERA. He's allowing less runs and he's pitching more innings than anybody else. And that combination seems unbeatable if he does that throughout the rest of the year. So the question is, how much does he come back down to earth? And is there anybody that is even close enough to step up and steal it for him? Some other names that come to mind, Corbin Burns won it last year, and he's having a good year. He's not as good as Sandy's, but he continues he's in shouting distance in terms of ERA, and he has the dominance factor. He's way more strikeouts than Sandy does. So I wonder if Daniel wants to come back for another press box report, but we don't want to hear from him. I already told you guys after you were on the stream before. Yeah, we've heard enough from you. Well, actually, I guess we were having trouble reaching the finish line for this. So we'll hear what he has to say about Sandy. Yeah, we're talking about Sandy.
Talking about Sandy.
Yeah, if you guys have any thoughts about the atmosphere there for Sandy or anything regarding tonight's matchup and what you're expecting from him.
How is Sandy's pitch look like? How's Sandy's pitch look like?
Just look straight forward. Isn't it right there?
It's right there, but it's I wouldn't say it's a beach. I would say it's Sandy's community pool right now. It's
at least it isn't
Sandy's.
Sandy's.
It's not packed at all. It's bad when I can see Noah right there. I can see Noah right here.
You can make out individual people while you're there.
It's impressive.
I still think it's gonna be a fun game. I think the Padres thing, that entire lineup is gonna be fun. Like, the series is full of really good pitching matchups. I don't know if you guys saw Mike Clevenger, what he did earlier with the fan. He exchanged a beer and he drank a beer on the field for a baseball. So that just tells you right there, like, these guys are coming in, they're having fun. I feel like they know they can beat this team, and I think the Padres are just I wouldn't say one step, multiple steps above the Marlins. It's see if Isaac agrees. Yep. So it's going to be one of those series. I like to see how the
We can
Marlins do it. Hopefully Sandy could shut out. It's going to be a little difficult with Soto and Bell, but we'll see. We'll see.
And I want to bring up someone who was an early Cy Young candidate at the time, Joe Musgrove, who was the pitcher that's going tonight. He had one of the lowest ERAs until I think it was COVID or he got injured. That is pretty much what ruined any chances he had of winning it. But, you know, Grant, Joe Musgrove on the other side of the mound tonight. What are you expecting from him going up against the pretty much depleted Miami Marlins team that can't produce offense?
Look, he's a very, very, very strong pitcher, and this isn't a very strong Marlins lineup. I think that's all you really need to know. I think a lot of Marlins fans, a lot of us know how this could go tonight.
Yep.
Well, I should mention with Musgrove is that he has not earned a win in 2 months. Jeez. Like early this year, he raced out to that great start, and now a combination of obviously some of it is out of his control, but I think that speaks to him also just not pitching very well. That he has since June 16th, he has not earned a win. His Cy Young aspirations have gone up in smoke. They still finish off that contract extension even during this slump. You know, Musgrove just got a 5-year, $100 million deal. And every single time a new starting pitcher signs a deal, you always put it up next to Sandy's. Yeah. Sandy, 5 years, $56 million, and Musgrove getting nearly double that, even though I think very few people would even say they're on equals, much less Musgrove deserving more. It's that contract is the one that Sandy's on that is so crucial to anything that they want to accomplish the next few years. The fact that they have him for below market deals like that. He's the perfect recipe when you're slumping is to face the Marlins. So that's the question is, are the Marlins going to actually have a good game for once because they're facing a slumping pitcher, or is that slumping pitcher going to turn it around now that he's facing the Marlins?
I think I will take the latter all the time.
I want to talk about Edward here because this is the first time he's going up against a really, really good team besides Houston, which was when he got injured. But he's going up against a really good team in San Diego. So anyone has any expectations for Edward, how to get past this lineup? So Adam, just your thoughts on Edward going up against, I think it's game 2 tomorrow against the San Diego Padres, and it is game 2.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you said, like he's got his work cut out for him. You know, he's gone up against arguably the best lineup in baseball now, or, you know, if it's not, then it's definitely top 3, top 4. It's a good challenge for him. Obviously, he should not be backing down from this challenge whatsoever. You know, he had a very good outing. I remember one time not too long ago against Chicago and the Cubs. And I think now going forward, he's going to have a very, you know, especially with the Marlins having the toughest schedule. I think I heard in Major League Baseball in general, correct me if I'm wrong, going down the stretch. And I think it's going to be a really good challenge for a lot of these young guys. And, you know, they're probably like how I've been saying, like we need to be playing the young guys instead of giving them a chance. I think this will be a good opportunity to really see who can stand out against really tough competition going the next couple of months. And I think Edward Cabrera is going to really get his time to shine, not just him, but a lot of other guys as well.
John, let's say how much?
Oh, go ahead.
How much? Yeah, I'm sorry, John. So Edward going up against the Padres. Let's say he has a good start. What will this tell you about Edward Cabrera? Because he's gone against the Nationals, the Rockies. What was the last time he got against the Chicago Cubs?
The Cubs.
With them, yeah. What will this game tell you about Edward Cabrera if it goes the right way or if it goes the wrong way?
You know, Kevin, I was actually looking at his numbers right now, and you're right. He has faced, you know, the Rockies, the Cubs, the Nationals. He did go against the Phillies. He had a nice outing, but he also faced against the Astros, and that didn't go all too well. But then again, he pitched a Minute Maid, so this time he's pitching at home. He's going to be playing against one of the best lineups. So this time it's one of those games where we actually have to look at Edward and see, hey, can this guy compete at home against a very good team? So regardless of the result of the game, it's really about Edward. And if he does succeed, this does prove that Edward could go out there, compete, and he could produce for the team in his own part. You know, given that he has gone against these sub 500 teams, now he's going to go up against a challenger who's actually trying to go to the postseason, even win the title. So if he could give us a good start, next season's going to look good for Edward if, you know, he keeps the injuries down.
And final thing I want to mention on the Padres end is their crazy bullpen that they have. They added Josh Hader to that. And I know he hasn't been all that great since he came with the Padres, but you're going in kind of a thing where you go from Kenley Jansen, Kenley Jansen, Raisel Iglesias combination to Josh Hader and whoever, and they have that bullpen there. So Miami does have a lot for tonight. And I don't know if you had something to share, Eli, or one last thing you were going to mention or not.
Well, Nolan Corbett in the chat, he mentioned how we could support Fish Stripes in terms of merch. And we do put out merch with Breaking Tea. If you go to breakingtea.com/Fish Stripes, I'm 90% sure that's the right URL. That's where we have a bunch of t-shirts that we've made with them over the last couple of years. So over a dozen designs in all, including a Sandy's Beach one that they made just a few weeks ago. So if you're interested in that, go to the site, cop it over there, and that supports us as well. And it'll be looking good. This is the one show that I'm not wearing a Breaking Tea shirt for.
I noticed.
But yeah, we have when a lot of guys that are hurt now, unfortunately. We have multiple Jazz shirts, the Solar Power shirt as well. I got the Miggy Rowe shirt. Oh, I should have worn that because I'll tip my pick a little bit that I think Miggy is going to have a nice series for himself. The Air Rojas shirt, with that one as well. All that at breakingtea.com/Fish Stripes. You can find it there.
And not only that, you could enter giveaways to get some of these shirts with the $2.99 super follower subscription. So do that. And we'll go, I guess, into series predictions. We have 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
Right before first pitch. So we'll play the video first and then we'll do. Super followers. We love you guys. We'll go with you guys first.
We'll go with them first, I suppose. Yes. These are the ones I just grabbed really far in advance. I know a couple people also submitted them like within the last hour, but these are the ones I captured ahead of time for prediction time. As I get the right graphic up here. Right.
There we go. We have Marlins sweep John Birdie. Romeo may not get some points this time around, unfortunately. Marlins lose 2 out of 3. You pretty much gave us a whole essay. Nice. And then Bella, Isaac's girlfriend. But Marlins lose 2 out of 3. Sandy Alcantara MVP. There we go. All right.
Yeah, Gabriel Revilla always uses up pretty much all the characters.
I love it.
Explaining his predictions. And we put you guys, let me grab the leaderboard real quick. By being a super follower, by participating in that, we put you guys on the leaderboard as well as this the rest of this season goes on. Maybe you'll catch up to some of us near the top. But yeah, Gabriel has been on the money for a few of these, so he's already cracked the top 10. Closing in on Grant as well. But otherwise, there's a pretty big separation between us on the top.
Look, man, I had a 3-month delay. I had no predictions until July. I will get up into, I could get the 5 or 6 by the end of the season if I ride a hot streak here. Just got to pick against the Marlins. That's all you got to do.
I need a good series here to pass Daniel.
Yeah. You know what? Something that I literally came up with right now is perhaps when the regular season ends and there's no more Marlins series to predict, instead of just automatically crowning me the champ, maybe we do something with like the postseason as well, because we'll probably doing streams like during the postseason. At least once a week, and maybe as a way of like the top finishers will at least make the playoffs, and then we have it that way to give other people a shot to potentially take it from me at the end. That's something that just came to my mind, but we'll unpack it a little bit more as the postseason approaches. I mean, even now, I still haven't clinched this. There's still an opportunity for some other people to catch up right there. I think the one thing we should probably Noah already. I think. Noah already shared his prediction of the Marlins winning 2 out of 3 and Sandy as the MVP. And now let's play the video, I guess, from the guys at the ballpark. They did a pretty good job with this, I think.
We're here for predictions between the Marlins and the Padres for the 3-game set. It's going to be really great pitching matchups throughout the series. My prediction, I have Marlins take 1 game, and the MVP is going to be the hometown boy, Manny Machado. Isaac.
I see the Marlins are going to lose 2 out of 3. And I think Sandy Alcantara will be the MVP.
All right, behind me, Alex. Alex, your prediction?
My prediction, Marlins are going to lose 2 out of 3. They're going to win the series opener thanks to Sandy. And my MVP for the series is Juan Soto.
Ooh. All right, we have Andres.
Marlins take 1, and the MVP, I'm going to coincide with Isaac, is going to be Sandy Alcantara.
All right, another special series prediction right here from Jonathan from 5 Reasons Sports. Jonathan, what's your prediction?
I was going to say win 1, but I got to go different. So I got to say we win the first and third game, but I think Machado's going to be the MVP.
All right, and here we have Hall of Famer, 7-time Jeopardy champ, the GOAT, Danny Alvarez. Danny, what's your prediction?
My prediction is that I'm getting my 8th win on Thursday. That's it.
I loved
Very well
it.
done. Yeah.
It was very well done.
That's a reminder that we are going to be doing Jeopardy on the off day on Thursday night again.
That's going to be a good one. We have a lot of people lined up for that one. So with that being said, I don't think we could beat that on here. But John, your serious prediction. How many games and your MVP?
Oh man, I think the Marlins are going to take one of 3. I don't think they're going to match up too well against the Padres. And my MVP is going to be local hometown boy Manny Machado. I think he's got the lock on that one.
Grant, go ahead.
You know, I said before this, I was kind of showing my hand to you guys. I was going to say Padres 2 out of 3, but look, I just looked at that leaderboard. I need to make a big move to climb up the leaderboard. So I'm going to go away from what everyone else is saying. I'm going to go Padres sweep. I'm going to go Trent Grisham as my series MVP.
Ooh. All right, Adam, go for it.
Yeah, that's a bold pick, Grant. I'm going to go Alex stole my pick. But I'm going to go 2 out of 3 with the Padres taking the series 2 out of 3. And I'm going to go with Juan Soto as my pick for MVP.
Okay, Eli, go for it.
I have the Marlins winning the series. They have a very tough schedule, but I don't think they're going to lose all these series. One of them has to go their way down the stretch. I think, even though I don't think the talent on the roster necessarily makes that the case, and sitting LeBlanc this first game is not going to help them. I have them winning 2 out of 3 somehow in the series. I guess mainly on the backs of the starting pitchers, with my MVP being Miguel Rojas. There's some people on Fish Stripes that have been a little bit critical of him earlier today, and that was not my article. I think he's
not mine.
I think he's a bit better than he has shown recently. He's been struggling a lot in this recent stretch, really. And I think he's going to have a good series for himself, a few clutch hits, and he's going to make the difference as the Marlins win 2 out of 3.
And none of our Fish Stripes people that are here have submitted predictions. So I will go Padres sweep, and series MVP will be the hometown boy, Manny Machado. Why not? So I think that's where we will end it. Oh, someone just put a prediction. There we go.
Louis got one.
Louis, 1 out of 3. Soto is the MVP. So that is Louis Adio Weiss prediction. And he says because he'll probably walk like 5 times or 6. So yeah, nothing new there, Soto. So Sandy on the mound today. Sandy's Beach. If you still have time to go to the ballpark, watch the Padres and watch Sandy. Tomorrow we have Edward Cabrera, and then Friday, and then last game is Pablo Lopez. So should be a good, fun series to watch. Fish Stripes Jeopardy on the off day. This Thursday, Danny Alvarez, as you guys saw, will be back on. He will be making his return to champ is back. Isaac will be on, and Alex Aguirre returning. The champ, the newest champ, will be back on as well, and some of us will be on here as well. So,
and Adam, I think you should look at the screen because we need to take our screenshot to put on Twitter, and you don't want to look silly on that one. Yeah, I think that moment right there.
I put some bad faces on there before. It's not pretty.
Yeah.
So that's where we'll end it. We expect Jordan Grosjean's interview hopefully sometime this week on Fish Reps Unfiltered. We took a week off. There wasn't much to talk about. We'll get Jordan Grosjean's newly acquired from the Toronto Blue Jays. I put out a tweet. Make sure to comment if you have any questions, or you could DM Eli, Isaac, or myself. We'll be happy to put it on the screen, and we'll present that to Jordan. So from Adam, Eli, Grant, John, Daniel, Isaac, everyone else who was in the prediction video, Alex, Andres, Daniel, Jonathan. We'll see you guys all for the Dodgers series. Peace out and go Fish.
We got to end it off right. We got to